Hail fellow crafters, it's me Griff Grayman here with Rusalka Games. Today I'm going to be showing you a really neat craft that's going to be really quick and simple and is going to provide a little more scatter and good prop material for your miniature games. So let's say that you're on the river like we are in my campaign currently, and you've got somebody traveling downstream on a barge. Let's say it's this little troll, Wilfred. And he's got some crates in tow with his goods, but he needs another little something to round out this look. And of course, he's got some little sacks full of goods. Maybe it's grain, maybe it's apples or potatoes, or who knows what. Maybe there's something being smuggled inside them. This is a really simple craft that's going to just add that little bit of flavor to your game. So we're going to do bags, and we're also going to do two variants. In my campaign, they're filled with grain, so we're going to do one that's open a little bit so you can see the grain on the insides, and another that's got grain spilling out onto the ground. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our big ball of Sculpey and wrestle off a little piece. And for this, it might be good to have a miniature that you're using for reference. You could do these any scale. I actually use 54mm scale typically, so mine will be a little bit bigger. But you'll take your Sculpey ball and kind of ball it up and compare it, see that it's a nice size relative to your humanoid miniature there. And then you want to really roll it nicely so that you really get a nice smooth, homogeneous roll, and you've got a real good, smooth textured sphere. Get all those little wrinkles and folds and creases out of the clay. So once you've got a pretty good ball, then you're going to pinch and roll it so that it's a little more of an egg shape, a little more oblong, almost like a real fat little pill. And press it a little bit on your work surface so that it will rest nicely on the tabletop. Then you want to come up and again roll and pinch and create a little bulb on the top. So it's kind of almost like a bullet shape now. Then you're going to carefully grab and twist at this bulb. And you want to do it kind of slow and with like a gentle pressure so that you don't tear the Sculpey. You want to twist but not tear it. And if you do it right, you're going to get this nice little crease effect. So once you've got your little crease there, take the blunt end of a paintbrush or a pencil you could even use and make a little indent in. Try not to squash your nice shape you've got here. Make a little indent in, and then I use my thumb as kind of a guide. I will pull outward to create these little wrinkles or kind of billows in my cloth, and to create the impression that there's a cinched up bag like that. And you kind of go around and give it this little petal texture almost. And it's really just as simple as that. And so to do our variants, we can widen them open a little bit more before we put them in so that we can later on drop a little glue and then sprinkle our grains on top. Or if we're going to do a spilled bag, we can put it on its side, press it a little bit to, again, give it the little indentation, the flat bottom that's going to let it rest. And then maybe we'll even pry it open just a little bit more, like that. So I'm going to stick these in the oven for about 15 minutes at 250 degrees to let them harden. And I'm impatient, so I just hit them hot after they come out of the oven. So we'll be right back. Okay, so once your Sculpey is hard and it comes out of the oven, you can just take a little bead of wood glue and fill the lip you've created in the Sculpey there. Don't want to do too much because it's strange if the grain is heaping up over the top. And so then I'm going to use amaranth seeds But you could use any kind of real small grain. You could use quinoa probably. And I'm just going to sprinkle these amaranth seeds on top of my wet wood glue there. And then shake off the extra, kind of press it in there so it's a good shape. And then you see you've got your little grain poking out. For our spilled grain sack, we can take, I'm going to use a little bit of parchment paper here, and we take our spilled grain sack, and I'm just going to create a little pool of hot glue. So I'm going to kind of squirt it in right there, but then also let it pool up nearby. See, squirt some in there, let it spill out in an organic way here. Maybe I'll kind of spill some out on either side too. Kind of exaggerate the effect a little bit. And then we're just going to let that spill dry. Okay, so once your hot glue has dried a bit, you can come in and we're going to do essentially the same thing. Put out a little bit of wood glue, and you could dilute it or not. I wouldn't dilute it too much. But take the wood glue and paint it pretty liberally onto your little hot glue spill that you have now. And make sure and get some up inside of the mouth of your sack. And once you've got it on pretty well, you can lift it right off of that parchment paper really easy. I'm going to apply just a little more, really get it and all pooled up in there. And then you can just take whatever you're using for your grain, sprinkle it all over the place. Again, make sure you get it down in the mouth there. And if you want to be really detail-oriented about it, you could do a second coat after this one dries, but I find that this is a pretty good effect right there for your spilled grain bag. So there you have it. A quick, simple craft that is a really great prop for your role-playing games.